guys, many movements as usual on the market. We are together here on the channel to discuss, to enter into the details. And let me say that it's quite a busy moment for goalkeepers on the market, because we know with the keepers is quite special as usual, because goalkeepers market is, I always say, a separate market. We have the market of players and there everything can happen. But with the goalkeepers is more kind of domino. When a goalkeeper is moving, others are moving around them. And so there is always a lot of movement. For example, Monaco, who have been linked with Andrea Onana several times, never had any concrete or serious negotiation with Man United for Onana, and they are now going for Hradecki at Bayer Leverkusen, so he's the top target for Monaco. They have offered 4 million euros. Let's see what's going to happen there. Aaron Ramsdale goes to Newcastle from Southampton, a loan deal with buy option clause and salary covered by Newcastle, player ready to travel for medical tests and contract signing. So Ramsdale back to the Premier League. But why Ramsdale? Because they wanted James Trafford at Newcastle, was quite close the deal at some point in June, but then in July Manchester City appeared, Pep Guardiola appeared, direct conversations with James Trafford, and so they signed Trafford at Manchester City, £27 million, number one, and so Ramsdale is going to Newcastle. Keep an eye on Stefan Ortega, because he can now leave Manchester City, while Ederson is expected to stay. For Stefan Ortega there could be movement, and so it's going to be an interesting one. But then we have to talk especially about Paris Saint-Germain, because what's going on at Paris Saint-Germain with the goalkeepers is something special. First point, I told you a few days ago, let me repeat, Paris Saint-Germain are very close to reaching an agreement with Lille for Lucas Chevalier as new goalkeeper. And many of you can say, but PSG have Donnarumma. Yes, but Chevalier is something that PSG see as a big opportunity. French goalkeeper for a French team. They love to have French players at PSG, of course. Then, agreement with the player, who is very keen on the move. PSG feel that in this moment they can get him. Maybe next year there could be more clubs, top clubs around Europe working on goalkeeper, and so better to anticipate other clubs. And also, Paris Saint-Germain are in direct club-to-club contact with the president, Nasser Al-Khelaifi, and the president of Lille, Letang, to reach an agreement which is very close for 40 million euros. Lille wants some add-ons, PSG don't want to include that, so the conversation is underway. But why Chevalier? Because PSG are still not able to reach an agreement with Gianluigi Donnarumma over new contract. And this contract, his current one, expires in summer 2026, so in June next year. What does it mean? That for PSG, the strategy is clear. Sign Chevalier, and then see what happens with Donnarumma. If they can extend Donnarumma, fantastic news. Otherwise, if they can't extend Donnarumma, they will try to find a solution for this summer. But at the moment, I'm told nothing can close, nothing is imminent. Many rumors on Galatasaray. I'm told Donnarumma is not negotiating with Galatasaray at this stage. Many rumors on other clubs, but at the moment is very quiet. Despite links with Chelsea, Chelsea are not working on a deal for Donnarumma now, at least for this summer. Also, let me say, the agent of Donnarumma doesn't need to offer Donnarumma around. Today I see some reports on Donnarumma being offered to Manchester United, being offered to Manchester City. You don't have to offer a player like Donnarumma. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the world, if not the best. And so this is not the case. It's just about opportunities. If they find the right opportunity, well, Donnarumma can go this summer with PSG signing Chevalier. Otherwise, they can stay in the same team. Donnarumma already faced the competition of Keylor Navas at the beginning of his career at Paris Saint-Germain. So he's not scared about that. Let's see what's going to happen with Chevalier. And eventually he can leave. Keep an eye on this one as a free agent in 2026 if they can't find a solution now. So the Donnarumma situation is going to be an interesting one, with PSG preparing the future with Lucas Chevalier. Then guys, let me say something on Chelsea. I keep mentioning that story because it's getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And also on Tuesday, Chelsea made new progress to sign Jorel Hato from Ajax. So this is very close now. It's about the final details, and then Jorel Hato will be new Chelsea player. The here we go is coming soon. The agreement with Chelsea and between Chelsea and Ajax is imminent. They're working on these final details of the deal because, as I told you, Chelsea wanted to pay 40 million euros. Ajax started from 55, but let me say that the common ground is going to be a bit more than 40, with some add-ons included. So they are working on the structure of the deal. Hato is ready to sign a very long contract at Chelsea. He already said yes to this opportunity, and let me confirm that obviously he can be an important centre-back, left-footed, but also left-back when needed, and some backup for Marco Cucurella. I told you in the previous video about a new contract. I can tell you that, according to my information, they are already working on a new contract for Marco Cucurella. Chelsea are expected to submit a new contract proposal to Cucurella very soon. Talks have started already to prepare the future of Marco Cucurella. And so, work in progress on that one, with Cucurella, who can be extending his contract at Chelsea very, very soon. In the next weeks or months, there will be a concrete discussion for Cucurella, new deal at Chelsea. Then, guys, said about Joel Hato joining very soon. I wanted to tell you again about Alejandro Garnacho to explain something. That Garnacho Chelsea is still an option, is still a possibility being discussed internally at Chelsea, is still a possibility that they consider for the month of August. So it's probably going to take some time, but Chelsea appreciate Alejandro Garnacho as an opportunity if Man United conditions will match Chelsea conditions. Let me tell you that for Garnacho, this is not directly linked to Xavi Simons. So, as I always told you, Xavi Simons is a topic. Garnacho is a separate topic. Obviously, to make everything happen, you need Sterling to go, Nkunku to go. Let's see what happens with Nico Jackson. Joe Felix went to Al Nassr. So, obviously, the domino is also when you have to sell or offload some player. So, it's going to be important also that part. But let me say that in terms of timing, in terms of strategy, for Chelsea it's quite clear. First step, go for Xavi Simons, negotiations advanced with Leipzig. And then second step, consider Garnacho as an opportunity for the final weeks of the window. So that's the point for Chelsea, but this is two separate topics. It's not one of the other at the moment. Then let's see if some other club will jump in for Garnacho, because Garnacho obviously doesn't have only Chelsea, more suitors, more clubs interested. Then on Benjamin Sesko, guys, many questions from you on the reports overnight about Newcastle. Ready to be the Newcastle, ready to do this, that. Guys, on Newcastle, I keep saying what I told you days ago. If Benjamin Sesko decides to go to Newcastle, Newcastle are ready to pay whatever it takes. They know the conditions of the deal, so they don't need even to negotiate with Leipzig. They are ready to go and pay what Leipzig want. They are ready to go and pay what Sesko want. They are ready to go and pay whatever Sesko camp want. So they know everything about the deal. Newcastle started working on this one last week. So Newcastle are ready for Benjamin Sesko any moment. But this depends on the player. It's the player who has to say, okay, I want to come. In that case, Newcastle are ready. Then there is Manchester United. Don't forget Manchester United. Because Man United keep working on the Sesko deal, in contact with people close to the player, ready to speak also to Leipzig. So they are still working on the Sesko deal at Manchester United. And so it's not only Newcastle. Newcastle are very ready. Man United need to understand if they can be ready or not. This is also on the player. The player can decide any moment to go to Newcastle or maybe to wait for Man United. Let's see what's going to happen. Obviously, Sesko is going to take his time. It's not something very imminent in terms of hours. So probably it's going to take some days to decide what he wants to do. But for sure, Benjamin Sesko remains a big topic of this window. And so, guys, let me know your thoughts on all these stories from goalkeepers, Donnarumma, Chevalier, Ramsdale, and all the rest. Then Sesko, Garnacho, Hato. I wait for your opinion, guys. Hit in comments. Remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel.